That's weird. Anyway, sorry. Thanks. So I must accidentally hit the mute button. So yeah, I was talking about the Luka Doncic trade. I needed to hear from other Mavericks fans because I'm a diehard Mavericks fan, and I started my career off actually covering the Mavericks years and years ago, back when they still had Dirk Nowitzki. And it's just wild to me how this whole trade thing came about. If you're not an NBA fan, I'm real sorry because this is all I'm gonna be talking about for the next couple of days because it's absolutely insane. And if you're not a Mavericks fan, if you're still an NBA fan, I want to know, I want to hear what you think too, because I've seen a lot of things from fans of other teams responding to this trade, just because it was such a wild situation and how it all came about and how even the coach didn't really know about it. So Nico, of course, thanks so much. Thanks, Rick, for sharing the live. I appreciate it. So yeah, a lot, like the whole thing really came about really like late last night when ESPN and Shamia actually dropped that Luka was going to be traded, and I don't think a lot of people believed it. So much so that he had to go back and repost that no, his account hadn't been hacked, no, nothing like that. It was just that, yeah, this trade was that wild. So it's a three-team trade between the Dallas Mavericks, the Utah Jazz, who will be getting some draft picks, and the LA Lakers, of course. So now Luka Doncic will be joining LeBron James with the Lakers. Now, of course, like most Lakers fans are a little upset about it because they are losing like an all defensive player in Anthony Davis. They are, I mean, they're one of the top teams in the West right now, so they're losing a lot. They have a lot more, I think, to lose in the Mavericks, but the Mavericks are losing their franchise player. You know what I mean? Like that's a whole different ball game, and losing your franchise player when you're talking about something like that, especially your franchise player like Luka. And I mean, you can talk about him. Yeah, he doesn't play defense, but when he's on the court, there is a huge, huge difference. Oh, thank you so much for the gifts, everybody. I appreciate you. I appreciate it. So yeah, just like in talking about Luka, like it's kind of wild. Like, yes, he's been out since Christmas Day with a calf injury or some type of sprain or strain, whatever. So he hasn't played in a while, but when he was playing, he was still averaging about 28 points per game. You know what I mean? So, and yeah, Anthony Davis, like when he's on, he's really, really on. But man, like he's so injury prone. Like he's so incredibly spotty. And the Mavericks have done this before and made these big seemingly crazy trade deals, and they don't ever seem to work out for us. I very strongly feel like the Mavericks and the Cowboys are in competition to see who can be the worst team in Dallas or the worst franchise in Dallas. And I don't know who's worse right now. I don't know if it's Jerry Jones and his lack of decision making or Nico and his actual decision making. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for all the follows. Thanks for all the shares as well. And I know typically, like for my normal viewers who are on here, I know I normally talk about a lot of big news headlines. If you want to talk about that, we totally can. Leave it there in the comment section. But since it's a Sunday night, I thought I'd be a little bit more relaxed and talk a little bit more about sports and entertainment, which, speaking of, happening right now, the Grammy Awards are taking place at crypto.com arena there in LA. They're doing a lot of fundraisers and in raising money for a lot of the victims of the wildfires that took place in the LA area. But the rest of the ceremony is really going on as scheduled, which is really interesting, I guess. Oh, thank you, RK. One of the big ones is that Beyonce is nominated for 11 awards tonight, one of which she already won. She and Miley Cyrus won for Country Duo Group for their song Two Most Wanted, off of Beyonce's Cowboy Carter album. And speaking of that, Beyonce also announced overnight that she's going on tour for her Carter Cowboy album. Now, she didn't say when this tour is going to start or even where it's going to start. There are no tour dates, no locations, nothing like that just yet. It was just an announcement on social media that announcing the Cowboy Carter tour, which should be really interesting. I know a lot of fans were really anticipating this one. With Beyonce's 11 nominations for this year's Grammys, it actually makes her the most nominated artist in history, giving her 99 Grammy Award nominations, which is wild to think about that she has that many Grammy Award nominations. Several other people also have several nominations. I believe Taylor Swift has 6. There's a lot more others. I'm trying to think. Charlie XCX already won tonight as well. The awards are actually just getting started. They're on CBS, Paramount, that whole family of companies, like if you want to watch. And I think there's even a live stream on YouTube or something like that. One of those companies. But yeah, so lots to talk about, guys. So yeah, just going back to the Luka Doncic news because I'm so frustrated by it. So I need all my sports viewers to also come in and comment with me. I know like my normal viewers are looking for news, and like I said, if you want to talk about news, we totally can. But everything in like just my sports world has just come to a crumbling halt. I think with this Luka Doncic news, it really has. Again, I know he has not played since Christmas, and he does not play defense. But goodness gracious, I don't think when you're losing that caliber of player, a player that led your team to the finals last year and that was up for like probably going to be one of the finalists for the MVP award this year, was one of the finalists for the MVP award last year, was the leading scorer in the league last year, and you to trade him overnight like that without any type of consideration via text message, that's just kind of unforgivable to me. It really is. Oh, Miss Good News, thank you so much. That's so sweet. Thank you. It's a lot of lighting. Thanks. I appreciate it. What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody is having a fantastic Sunday evening. Let me know where you're joining from this evening too, because I'm here in Bossier City, Louisiana. So let me know where you're listening from this evening, what you got going on. I decided to change, do a little change in format just because like normally during the week, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 9:30 a.m. Central Time, I do news, but I decided to, switch it up just a little bit. Yes, this trade news is wild. Like, this has been my whole social media feed from, like, the last 24 hours, pretty much at this point. It's absolutely mind-blowing. It's definitely the biggest trade that I've ever seen. I started off my career covering the Mavericks, so it's interesting to me to see such a switch in dynamics in how their front office is operating now as opposed to how it operated back when I was covering them about like 10 or so years ago. Oh, wow. Thank you. Let's see. Joining in from New York, from Maryland, Palm Beach, Florida. I love it. I love that people are from all over the place. That's one of the really cool things about going live, like on all these different platforms, is because you're able to see and meet people from all over the place. So it's good to see everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Like I mentioned, I normally do news content Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. This month, I'm also going to be doing a little bit more like Black History Month content. So I have like several videos about fun Black History facts because I'm also a history nerd and I love it. Hey, Jerry, watching from Texas, lifelong Laker fan. How are you feeling today? Like, are you happy about the Luka trade? Because like I also want to know what Lakers fans think. Because if I'm a Lakers fan, I think I'm still pissed about this. Like, obviously, like I think Luka is a great get for anybody, but I'm still upset that I've lost Anthony Davis. I don't feel like either side of this is happy. But you correct me. Like, let me know what you think as a Lakers fan. Thank you guys for all of the follows. Thank you, and all of the likes. I really appreciate it. I really do. This is awesome. So yes, also at the same time, I know we're talking a lot about Luka news and sports news, but there's also, and Jerry said, I'm not excited about it. I didn't think so. I don't think either side is happy about this. Like, it feels wrong to me. Like, and I've never been one of those people that, Rhonda, listen, as a Mavericks fan, I'm hurt. I am so hurt about this. Like, I'm so upset. And it's super weird to me too, because it just goes against everything that the Mavericks have said that they stood for all of these years, and like their loyalty to their players. And we saw it, especially though when Mark Cuban was still the owner, and how many players came back and actually worked for the team and for the organization. And I just feel like we're about to see a very big shift in the culture. And obviously we're going to, because that's one of the things Nico said in his press conference before the Mavericks got obliterated by the Cleveland Cavaliers today. But what was it, like 40, 50 points? He actually mentioned that the culture is going to change, and I think we can all tell that. It's very obvious that the culture is going to change, and it already has, unfortunately. I'm really sad. I'm like, do I go be a Laker fan now? I don't think I can be a Lakers fan. I don't think I can do it, but I'm a Luka fan for forever. I know that I can do. Also, thank you so much. I see so many new people joining. I appreciate you guys. For like some of my normal followers, I have to keep saying this. So yes, I normally do like news content and everything like that, but I'm switching it up a little bit for like these Sunday evening live chats and everything to talk a little bit more about, what's going on like entertainment wise and sports, and just have a little bit more of a relaxed conversation. The tenseness of the news can be a little bit much for a Sunday night, I think. But if you want to talk news, if you want to talk everything that's going on in regards to like the Trump administration tariffs, if you want to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, some of those things, we can definitely talk about that. I like to leave it up to like the people in the chat. So let me know if there's some things that you want to talk about, discuss, get off your chest. Let's talk about it. Bulls fan. Ooh, oh yeah, you've had a tough time since like the mid '90s. That's okay though. That's okay. Not like you're having all right. You're having a good season. Not like that, but like you're having a better season than the Mavericks are right now. I think everybody is. I'm just sad, guys. I'm just really sad that Luka Doncic will no longer be with the Mavericks. I really, really am. But I'm going to move on. I promise. So, no. Oh, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you for the gifts, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you. They're popping up on my screen over here. And I really, really appreciate it. Again, for everybody who's new, my name is Channing. I'm a journalist, former news anchor, sports reporter, and news reporter. And so I do these live updates on Sunday nights and Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. That's an interesting one. So, yeah, I guess... It sounds like you might want to get into the tariff situation, so we can talk about that a little bit. So we do have an update on that. So, of course, President Trump said that he would be imposing 25% tariffs on goods coming from Mexico, Canada, and 10% tariffs on Chinese goods and on Canadian energy products like Canadian oil. Now, this was all done through 3 separate executive orders, and they're set to go into effect on February 4th, which is Tuesday, if anybody's keeping up. Now, depending upon who you ask, really depends on like the answer you're going to get in regards to how these tariffs are going to work and just how it'll affect the prices of everyday goods for, well, all of us out there. But most of the experts from things that I read said that, these tariffs are most likely things that we'll end up paying for. We'll end up seeing the end result of that because companies are going to just pass that extra money down to the consumer. In response, though, to these tariff announcements from the Trump administration, both Canada and Mexico have said that they would also be imposing tariffs on U.S. goods as well. Per the Associated Press, Canada initially ordered tariffs of 25% on American imports starting on February 4th. That'll include beverages, cosmetics, and even paper products. Worth up to $30 billion. And the second list of goods will be released soon, and they'll be doing like a tiered program. So they'll have a first initial round of tariffs that will also start on February 4th. And about 20 days later, they'll have tariffs imposed on even more goods at that time. It's really interesting. The method behind the madness is in regards to why now the Trump administration did put out a statement, and you can actually read it there on whitehouse.org, or I'm sorry, whitehouse.gov, in response to why they're putting out these tariffs. As a matter of fact, the White House press secretary said this on Friday, that the tariffs are targeting the 3 countries for hosting the manufacture and transport of illicit drugs that end up in the United States. That's why that they're saying that they're targeting specifically Mexico, China, and Canada. Now, when they're talking about drugs, obviously they're talking more about opioids and fentanyl than anything else. But I just think it's very, very interesting that that's why they're targeting them. China's a whole nother bucket of problems, but it's really Canada and Mexico because of that. At least that's what they're saying. I haven't seen, or I haven't really just done enough digging to see like why they're saying that or anything like that is in regards to the numbers to back up that data, or the data really to back up that statement. But yeah, this is what they're going with. And so like I said, it's a really interesting aspect from an economic standpoint. And I feel like I have to say this all the time, but I am not an economist, so listen, this is not my realm of expertise. But in reading and doing a lot of research on what these tariffs would mean and really how it would impact us as the consumers, most of my reading led to experts essentially saying that it was going to be a bit of a trickle-down effect to where, we impose these tariffs on these other countries, then the importers are then going to be the ones fronting the bill for that, and they're going to end up charging us more for these goods and services. So yeah, so yes, it's a lot. I mean, just reading the comments here, like, exactly. I agree. PPF Ranch. Hey, good evening. I agree. It makes no sense. Man, that lovely film photography. I wish they would tackle school shootings like they're tackling this. You have never lied. It's wild to me that we have somehow come together on an agreement to ban TikTok, but we have not tackled that one really big issue where lives are ended. But what are my thoughts on the airstrikes on Somalia? So I'm going to be honest. So I've only read one thing about it, and I'm very funny about formulating an opinion. I like to read several different news sources before I say an opinion, especially like out on social media, just because like I like to make an informed opinion. So I don't want to say anything yet, but I have read one full article on it. I read it actually from BBC a little bit earlier today. But I don't feel like I have enough knowledge to formulate an opinion. But it's something I definitely want to look into more so that I can formulate one, if that makes sense. Because, you know, like, former news person, like, I like to make sure that what I'm saying is as factual as possible. Like, I don't want to just be out there just spewing something just because I think it sounds cool. So, yeah. Ooh, like, Leonard, I need you to expand on that. Someone saying like they think Somalia is a distraction. I want to know like why. What are your thoughts? I'd love to know. But so yes, there's other things going on as well. Of course, February is Black History Month, and despite the Trump administration, they're doing away with diversity, equity, and inclusion on the federal level. President Trump actually did sign the proclamation for Black History Month, in which he talked about Frederick Douglass and Clarence Thomas, and talked about some of the contributions that Black Americans have had over the years. But yes, he did sign that proclamation. I saw it going around on social media. I guess in the last couple of days, people were saying that he wasn't going to, but he actually did. He did sign that proclamation. Interesting fun fact. So Black History Month was actually started in 1926 by Carter G. Woodson as Negro History Week. And it was actually he selected the week, which started in February because it was Frederick Douglass's birthday that week and Abraham Lincoln's birthday that week. So that's actually why we have Black History Month in February. It's not actually just because it's, you know, the shortest month, because I know a lot of people have said that over the years. Let's see, sorry, reading the comments. I think there's a chance a grab for oil is behind the airstrikes. Okay, that makes sense. I could see that. I could definitely see that. More worried about the Department of Treasury access. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, listen, we've done a lot worse for a lot less. Let's be honest, you know? So I could definitely see that. I'm one of those people, like, especially like if you're a new follower, you know, I never say never, and I don't call myself a conspiracy theorist. I would just like to say I think outside the box. So yeah, definitely say that. PBF Ranch, yes, that is good, at least talking about Trump signing the Black History Month proclamation. Again, it is really interesting because it does come at a time when they are ending diversity, equity, and inclusion at the federal level. Now, just to clarify for anybody's out there as well, like diversity, equity, and inclusion is not the same thing as affirmative action. I think there's this misunderstanding that when people hear that they're, you know, laying off all of these people in diversity, equity, and inclusion in these different federal offices and federal departments, they're meaning people who work in these departments of diversity, equity, and inclusion, meaning like that's their job, is to like, you know, forwardly or is to, I guess, outwardly promote diversity, equity, inclusion, whether it's within these branches of the federal government or in an outward facing way. It doesn't mean that they were hired because of that. Those are two totally different things. So I've seen a lot of people like comment on that. I'm like, no, those aren't the same things. Not at all. So thank you. Also, I see you guys saying that as well. So it does come at a very interesting time, though, like I mentioned, with Black History Month, because the Department of Defense actually sent out a memo saying that they are no longer going to be celebrating or promoting heritage months, including Black History Month, Disability Awareness Month, and several other heritage months as well that they actually listed out. Meaning that essentially they won't be using any of their working hours to be spent on any type of whether it's any type of gathering or types of trainings, anything of that nature as well. So, like I said, it's just a very interesting juxtaposition because, like, that memo comes out like around the same time as Trump signs the Black History Month proclamation. So, just interesting to me, I guess. Oh, guys, thank you so much for all the likes and all the follows. Thank you. I see we have some new people joining as well. My name is Channing. I'm a journalist and former news anchor and a reporter, and I do these daily news updates on TikTok and on YouTube. And I also go live Sunday nights just like this, and Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings, 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. Central Time. Let's see, looking at the comments here. DEI affects vets, disabled women. Yes, it actually, DEI affects a lot of different people, absolutely, a lot of different groups. It's not just about one single thing. I think a lot of people had that misconception, thinking that DEI, and especially like they're using it in the same way that they would try and use affirmative action when those are two totally separate things and two completely different concepts and ideologies. So yeah, thank you so much for putting that in the comments. Thank you guys. Let's see what else. Looking kind of behind me, I see the Grammys are going on as well. I had to get back to that one, my little entertainment news for a little bit. The Grammys are going on right now. Looks like actually Sabrina Carpenter just won for something. She had already won one award of the night, and so has Beyonce. She's already won one for Best Country Duo with her and Miley Cyrus for their song Two Most Wanted on the Cowboy Carter album. Beyonce's actually nominated for 11 awards tonight. She has the most nominations for this year and the most nominations now of all time with 99. Beyonce also overnight announced that she's doing a tour for her Cowboy Carter album. She didn't announce any dates yet or any tour stops, nothing like that. We have no idea what's going to be happening with it, but she did just make that announcement on social media. Also announced on social media, of course, the Luka Doncic trade. I'm still like butthurt about it. I almost wore like a Dallas Mavericks like jersey or sweatshirt, but then I was like, no, I can't do it. So for anybody who is not familiar or anybody who's just not a really big sports fan or an NBA fan, this is a really, really big deal. This is this is pretty much one of the biggest sports trades that I've ever seen happen. I can say that for sure. So the Dallas Mavericks traded away their star, their franchise player, 25-year-old Luka Doncic to the LA Lakers. They traded him essentially away for a value meal at McDonald's. I guess like a supersized meal. But they traded him away for Anthony Davis, of course, for the Lakers. All NBA defensive player, multiple-time All-Star. Great player, just hurt and definitely towards the end of his career as opposed to Luka, who's towards the beginning of his career. Like I mentioned, he's 25. Last year he led the league in scoring, was a top contender for the MVP awards both last year and this year if he hadn't only just played like 22 games this year. So yeah, super interesting stuff going on in news and in entertainment. Thank you guys for all the new follows. Thank you. I really appreciate you. I love this. Hope everybody's having a good Sunday night. I decided to switch up things a little bit for anybody who is one of my like normal followers, because usually in the mornings I do like breaking news updates, but I feel like because it's a Sunday evening, like you need to be a little more chill and a little more relaxed because it's the weekend and nobody wants to end their weekend on that kind of stressful note. However, I will go into some I guess White House news if you guys want to. Like earlier we were talking a little bit about some of the Trump tariffs and the responses from Canada and from Mexico in regards to that. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the roses, everybody. I appreciate you. So yeah, we were talking and breaking down kind of the tariff situation and what that will mean ultimately to consumers, which is, all of us out here. And talking more about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Of course, it is Black History Month, and just kind of talking about some of the differences between diversity, equity, and inclusion and affirmative action. I see. Yes, I just saw that comment there. I'm so sorry. I just saw your comment. So yeah, we can keep talking about that. So yes, diversity, equity, and inclusion is different from affirmative action in that, yes, DEI is typically a training mechanism. It's usually what is an outward-facing type of modular program that allows people to learn more about different marginalized groups that they might not be a part of, or they could be a part of even. Whereas affirmative action is more of a hiring practice. And so, yeah, of course, now through these executive orders, President Trump has essentially eliminated diversity, equity, and inclusion offices and things of that nature throughout the federal government. And so those are the people that he's firing. However, there tends to be a little bit of a confusion between with people just misusing the terms or using the terms in a similar fashion. And they're not really the same thing. And I think people just tend to just misuse them because you think diversity, equity, and inclusion means affirmative action, but that's not necessarily it. So yeah, very, very interesting, at least. And then, like I mentioned, just to kind of wrap things up, of course, like with the Trump tariff situation, because I just saw a comment about that one that I missed too. I'm so sorry. The Trump administration, of course, imposed tariffs or announced that they're imposing tariffs that will start Tuesday on Canada, Mexico, and China. Now, these tariffs are going to be 25% on Canada and on Mexico. However, they'll only be 10% on Canadian energy goods like Canadian oil. And then they're imposing 10% tariffs on Chinese goods as well. Now, these are all done through several executive orders that he has signed over the last couple of weeks now. And in response, though, which I think is really funny, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said that they will be imposing 25% tariffs on the U.S., starting also on February 4th. And then they'll be rolling out another round of tariffs where they'll also be charging 25% tariffs on additional goods as well in some 20 days. So yeah, I think it's just this really interesting, I guess, power struggle between the North American powers that be. Now, Mexico has also responded. The Mexican president has responded, and she said that they would also be imposing tariffs on the United States. However, she didn't say how much how much these tariffs would be, and she also didn't mention when they would start, but just that the Mexican government or the Mexican people would not be just standing down and allowing the U.S. to do this. I've read quite a few articles. I know, can't we all just get along? Seriously, it's wild. And a lot of the articles that I read said essentially like the Canadian people are really pushing the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to not back down to the U.S. government, especially on this one. And he also reportedly said that, this will bring some hard times for some of the Canadian people for a short while, but it's something that's important for them to do. So I think it's definitely something that they feel very strongly about. And I'm very fascinated to see how this all actually plays out. And hopefully we won't all get messed over in the process, but I feel like at the end of the day, it'll be the actual consumers, the people like us, that'll be the ones who will really be fronting the cost for all of this. And they will really be caught in the crossfire of all these, government officials. And no, like you said, PBF Ranch, I don't blame them either. You can't just, allow somebody to bully you. Nobody would do that, I don't think. Nobody in their right mind would do that. So yeah, I think ultimately that's exactly what's going to happen. All right, guys. Well, I guess that is all for me on this Sunday night. I really appreciate you for joining me here on these little live chats. I've been trying out this Sunday night format a little bit here and then going live on several of my different platforms. So if you already aren't following me on all of my channels, please head on over to YouTube where you can follow me at Coffee Chat with Chan. You can follow me on Instagram, Threads, and on TikTok as well. Thanks so much for, again, joining me on this Sunday evening. I hope you're having a great night. And if you're on TikTok, make sure that you are following me because I will be back on here live tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Central Time with all the big breaking news updates that happen from overnight.